Hey guys, Sean Lentz here from Appalachian DIY, and today I'm going to do a tool review on the Wixie Digital Angle Gauge. I'm going to jump straight into how I use this all of the time. For guys that are buying brand new saws, miter saws, this thing is perfect for you to set up your saw. So what we're going to do is we're going to place this digital angle gauge right on the deck of your saw and turn it on and hit the 0. It's going to zero out and tear on the deck of your saw. Many saws, your bevel function will go down and have a stop at 45-degree angle. All you do is take this, place it on the blade, and then we can read it. I'm sitting at 45.1 on my gauge. So I know I'm really close, but we can fine tune it. So a lot of saws that come from the factory, you're going to have to adjust your stops, and this is the perfect way to do that. So we can go all the way back to 0. We can look again, and I'm at 90.6. So that's kind of pretty far off. So we're going to have to adjust my 90-degree stop. We've been throwing this saw around a lot. I've been taking it out of the shop and hauling it around, so that might have got messed up. So that's another thing that you guys can do if you just throw it in your tool bag. It's so small and compact, you can take it anywhere. So if you're out on the job site, you're moving your tools around a lot, you can adjust this and make sure that your sitting and your stops are perfectly where you need them to be. The next place I use this digital gauge all of the time is on my table saw. Whenever I'm doing any of my work, I usually do a lot of precision wood cutting, and I need my blade to be exactly the angle I need it to be, and that's where this thing excels. I do have another digital gauge. The only thing I don't like about this is how it zeroes out. You got to put it on a flat surface, zero it, and then put it up against your blade. Make sure you don't get it on your tooth because that'll push it out. And it's a two-handed operation. You got to kind of push it over here, reach under here, crank your blade to whatever angle you need it to be, and that's such a pain. With this one, it's literally hands-free. There's magnets on it. You zero it on your deck, place it onto your saw blade, and then just crank it and watch that gauge as it moves, and wherever it sets it and you need it to be, you set it, and that's it. There's no two-handed operation with it. It's so super simple. And this literally lives on my table saw. I stick it down here on the mounts, running this thing, and it doesn't vibrate off, and it's always where I need it to be. There's one last feature that I'd like to go over with you, and it's a really nice feature. I have a level set up here and shimmed up onto my table, so it's perfectly plumb. We're going to set our angle gauge on here, turn it on, and zero it. So that is perfectly plumb. So now we can take this gauge, we can turn it off, and we can go up and stick it up on a wall, turn it back on, and it's going to remember the angle of this plumb and any angle that you put it to, even after you turn it off. So if you set this up in the beginning of the day, you go out, do some work, take this with you, it's always going to have that perfect plumb setting in the device, in this gauge, and no matter where you take it or what you put it on, it's going to remember this, and you can have and find different angles on anything that you want to with a perfect plumb. So right now I have it shimmed up on my table saw. I know my floor is tilted in my garage. I can turn this back on, have it set, and right now it's reading at 1.8 degrees tilted this way because my floor is sloped off because there's a problem with it. But those are the kind of things that you can do with this. It's super nice, super compact, and it's not all that expensive either. So we'll quickly go over some of the pros and cons of this thing real quick. It has a lot more pros than it does cons. The first being, I love how this thing has a magnetic base. You just stick it to something, especially your saw blade, it's hands-free. You can adjust it wherever you want, and you don't have to worry about sitting there and holding this thing on your blade or holding it to something metal because it's going to stick there. The magnets on this are relatively strong. I've never had a problem with it. Like I said, this thing lives under my table saw. running boards through it. It's never slipped off and fell. So the magnetics are really strong, and it's just so convenient to have this set and have it hands-free. The other thing I like is it's super simple to use. It has 2 buttons, on, off, and 0. That's it. There's nothing complicated about it. I also like how big the digital display is on it. I like that it's backlit, that stays open for quite some time. It's super to read. It has that it has either angle up or angle down, so that is really nice also. I also like how the battery is. It is a AAA, just a single battery. Nothing special, no button batteries that no one ever has. Everybody has a AAA, you stick it in there and it's good to go. Also, this battery has been in my gauge for probably a year and a half, maybe 2 years. Never changed it yet, so there's no parasitic draw on this. You can just put your battery in there and forget it. You don't have to change it all of the time. The other thing I like is the form factor of this thing. It's nice and small. It never gets in the way when I have it stuck up underneath my table saw. You can put it in your drawer of your tool chest, and it doesn't take up a lot of room. So let's move to what I don't like about it. And there's really only one thing I don't like. When you have this thing set up on your table saw and you're moving it to fine tune it, the angles when it jumps from 0.1 to 0.2, sometimes if you don't turn it slow enough, it doesn't register right away. So it'll go to 0.1 all the way up to 0.3. So if you wanted 0.2 right in the middle, you got to turn it really slow and wait for that thing to catch up and register as 0.1 to 0.2 and then stop. So the fine tuning can be a little bit of a pain. It's not super quick. You got to go really slow when you're turning your adjustment knob. But that is pretty much the only complaint I have about this. The one thing I do like is that it's only like $25 to $27 on Amazon, and I'll post that link below. So for what you're getting, and only one con on this thing, it's a super buy, and I definitely recommend this thing because I use it all the time in my shop, and I guarantee that you're going to be using it too. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button. Head over to Appalachian DIY for more videos. Thanks again, guys, and I hope to see you next time.